Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
Happy Friday, everybody. Friday starts the weekend, and we are here to make your weekend a profitable one through the props betting market. I am Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com. Joining me, as always, my fellow prop masters, Andrew McGinnis from WagerTalk.com and Matt Josephs from SportsMemo.com. We have a jam-packed show and a jam-packed weekend. MLB full swing, NHL and NBA playoffs in full swing. UFC, huge card this weekend. So we have a ton to get to. Gentlemen, it's kind of like we got to stay up late and watch all these games, but there's no better time of year for the prop betting market as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to get into it, and Matt Joseph is going to have his best bet for us at the end of the show. We're going to look towards Major League Baseball to get the weekend started off right with a best bet. So let's get right into it, guys. Matt, I'm going to come to you first. We started off by talking about baseball best bet coming up at the end of the show, but let's just jump into some of these K props. Nobody does it better than you. I always default to you when we're talking about K props, and you say you have 5 new K prop facts or trends. So what are you noticing so far as we're still early on in the Major League Baseball season in the K-prop market?
Yeah, my original topic here was going to be 5 things you should do with your money instead of betting on baseball, but we kind of nixed that thing in pre-show preparation here. So we're going to go with some facts with regards to pitching and a little bit of hitting, because I've got some earned runs facts to give out as well. We talked about last week some of the teams that are struggling a little bit when it comes to the strikeouts. The Mets, not one of those teams. They're averaging just 3.5 strikeouts against right-handed starting pitchers so far this season. Ironically, Desclafani for the Giants today has a 3.5 strikeout prop for San Francisco going up against New York. The Orioles have gone under in 10 of their last 12 K props. Michael Lorenzen tonight, a 4.5 number for him for the Detroit Tigers. That one could be close. He's kind of hung around that number quite a bit in his career the last couple of years, so that'll be interesting to see how the Orioles handle him. He's not a very good pitcher, but the Orioles are on a good stretch here of unders. All right, so some offensive numbers. 7 straight starting pitchers have held the Reds to 2 earned runs or less. Mitch Keller's number is 2.5 as he pitches at home against those Reds this evening. 14 of 19 starting pitchers have held the Marlins to 2 earned runs or less this season. Unless you're getting a really bad pitcher, if you ever see a under 2.5 earned runs allowed against the Marlins, more often than not, you should probably take the under, because this has been a bad offense all season, it feels like. And this is arguably the stat that's been the weirdest to me, because this is not an offense we thought was going to be really that good before the season. 10 different starting pitchers have allowed 5 earned runs or more to the Tampa Bay Rays so far this season. So let that go. That's more than half of the pitchers who have seen the Tampa Bay Rays so far this season have given up 5 earned runs or more. So Tampa's offense is really hot, and they face Michael Kopech tonight of the Chicago White Sox.
Great stuff from Matt Josephs about the K-props market. I'm going to talk about NBA here. Focusing one player, because when we get to there's a prop price for every category for every player, and I think it can be easy to get overwhelmed. So we're just going to focus on one player. I'll give an example. We've been focusing on Russell Westbrook. He's gone over his points, rebounds, and assists every game in that series. We got a gift. We played him early. Kawhi gets ruled out. He flies over his points, rebounds, and assists. What we like about him is a few things. He's involved in every single category. He's going to be crashing the boards and getting rebounds. He's going to be their point guard, so he's going to get plenty of assists. We don't have to worry about cardio, so he's going to play a ton of minutes and he's got a pretty good advantage in this series. Chris Paul and Devin Booker, not the best defenders, so he can attack the rim. He's been a cash every single night in points, rebounds, and assists. So just focusing on one player can help. I will give you a guy that I think we can look at as long as the books don't totally catch up to this guy. And this is Derek White of the Boston Celtics. Derek White it looks like he's their best crunch time point guard. And we look at his points, rebounds, and assists today. They have it at 24 and a half. This guy went for 24, 5, and 7 in game one. He went for 26, 7, and 2, flying over his points, rebounds, and assist total. So those are examples of just two specific guys that if you just focus on those guys, you don't have to worry about all the other games and all the other noise. You can just focus on those guys and turn your NBA playoffs into a profitable one. Andrew, coming to you, we're going to talk about some power play point props. They're back. Power play point props. Listen, in the playoffs, you got to take advantage of the power plays. Obviously, it's the same case in the regular season, but playoffs, it's amplified. What are we doing with power play point props in the playoffs so far?
Yeah, they are back, Andy. They are back in full swing. And, the funny thing is, it's the playoffs. So people immediately think we'll see less goals, which means less opportunities to cash in on this prop. But here's the thing. The NHL has gotten so soft during the regular season that there's not nearly as many hard hits. There's not really as many scrums after the whistle. And now we're really seeing a lot of times these scrums leading to penalties. And when you look at Brad Marchand tonight, he's minus 150 to get a point. You can also change that into a plus 220 for him to get a power play point. Same thing for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins from the Edmonton Oilers. He's over 1.5 points at a plus price for him to get a regular point 5-on-5. And again, you're getting plus 200 with him to get a power play point. And if you take a look, really, Andy, so far, what the biggest difference maker has been in these playoffs, and you hate to see referees decide it. We say it in every sport. We hate to see referees decide the game. But, all kinds of times so far, we've seen teams that are going 2 for 3, 2 for 4, and their opponent goes 0 for 4 in the power play. The team with the better success rate on the power play is the team that's winning the game. So if you want to take player props, if you want to just stick with the top guys, of course you can do player shots on goal and things like that. But I really do recommend these power play point props because the best part about it, Andy, you know who's going to be out there. It's no surprise who's going to be out there. It's going to be those superstars. So I really want to bring that back to people's attention and just take a look and realize if you go down the list, you look at certain players and you see how big of favorites they are to get a point in comparison to get a power play point. You're limiting your risk. You're getting that plus money. And I feel like it's something we should all be looking at in the NHL playoffs.
It's a great call, Andrew. I just looking up Draisaitl, just to if you want to play his points, you have to play over 1.5 and it's juiced. Or you could just play half a power play point at minus 125. This is a perfect example of one of those guys that he's always going to be out there on the power play. So amazing value just by picking some of those power play props. Great stuff, Andrew McGinnis at WagerTalk. All right, Matt, coming back to you. Let's talk NBA playoffs and these head-to-head combined props, which to be 100% honest, I hadn't really dove into this market at all. I had to search. I didn't even know it was out there. So I guess first off, explain where you find these head-to-head combined props, some of them that you've been looking at, and what have you noticed on if the markets are accurate or not, or if there's some advantages that we can find.
Yeah, and I come on this show every week, and obviously it's a prop show, and we talk about the different books that we use, and I'm not getting paid by them. I'm not trying to get any benefits from them, but like DraftKings is just head and shoulders above everybody else with what they offer, with the prices they offer, with the numbers they offer. I mean, it's just if you're a prop bettor and you're solely a prop bettor, DraftKings beats everybody else. And in their section for every game, there is a head-to-head prop section, and it's a list of a bunch of guys in points, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers, and it's 2 guys that you see in different combinations: Joel Embiid, Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Tobias Harris. They go and they put all these guys against each other. And so you'll notice, and they did for football too. I took a couple of these for football. It's in there for baseball and different things. But what you kind of do is you look for certain combinations, and they've been off on a couple of these when it comes to the Sixers Nets series. I've played 4 of them and I've hit 3 of them. The game 1 we played the Harden and Dinwiddie assists over combined. It went over, and that was with Dinwiddie missing like 150 lobs. We tried again in game 2. Of course, it didn't work out because that was the game that Harden decided not to show up. But then we moved to Maxey and Cameron Johnson threes. It was 4.5, and I think if I remember correctly, one of those guys had 4 by themselves. And then in yesterday's game, it was 5.5, and Maxey had 5 threes by himself. So, there are, as we constantly preach here, and I feel like I do is a lot of times here, there's just so many markets that I feel like you can't get everything right. And if you just take the time, and if you know the matchup, like I'm not going to do this for, the Lakers-Grizzlies series. I'm not going to do this for any other series because I don't know the teams as well. But I know the Sixers-Nets series so far, and I feel like I could take advantage of it and take the time to go through every single market because I don't think the books can get every single thing right.
Are you focusing on threes or points or assists? Is there one category in particular, or are you just kind of going through all of them and finding the holes in the market?
Well, yeah, I'm going through all of them. I mean, I don't think I've ever played the assist by itself market, but when I saw the Dinwiddie Harden thing, and I remember what you and Moneyline Matt talked about last week with regards to Dinwiddie being a sleeper for assists, I thought, okay, I've seen Harden with double digits. I think I've seen Dinwiddie with double digits. So there's a lot of value there. And I'll even say this: when it comes to these head-to-head things, if you look in baseball, I'll give you a classic point. It was like 2 or 3 days ago. Jacob deGrom went up against Jordan Lyles in the Kansas City, Texas game. And Jacob deGrom was actually plus money to have the first strikeout because the opponent was the home team. And so they all thought that, and what we've seen in this market is that pretty much the home team's pitcher is always the favorite, and sometimes by a massive amount because they have the first opportunity to get the strikeouts. Well, there's some pitchers who A, aren't strikeout pitchers, or B, there's top 3 hitters in their lineup that don't strike out a lot. So if you even look at that market and sometimes try and find some value there, I just think, as much as I love DraftKings, I think they're almost overextending themselves with everything they offer, and there's going to be holes in the market that you can certainly take advantage of no matter the sport.
Well, we certainly hope that DraftKings isn't watching, and keep overextending yourselves, guys. So, by all means, keep putting those up. Great stuff, Matt. Yeah, I'm with you on some of these head-to-heads. I'm looking at some of them right now, and I think you're right. I think there's some that they're just taking some of the players' points averages, and they're not really taking game scripts or things that have happened in the series into account on that one. So great stuff in the NBA prop market on how to handle the head-to-heads on player props. Andrew, coming to you, let's talk about NHL props in round 1 so far. It's really important in these first few games to get a hold on who's doing good, who's not doing good. Are we going to ride a certain player? Are we going to ride a certain prop, a play throughout the playoffs? You know me, I love just finding 1 or 2 spots and riding them throughout the entire playoffs. What have you noticed so far in this first week, these first few games of all these series?
I want to confirm, Andy. Can you hear me okay? I was having some issues before, but
You
can you
sound
hear me okay?
beautiful, man. Your angelic voice is
As good as we're going to sound. As good as we're going to sound. Look, so I guess I wanted to start off with one thing. People love betting overs, right? People love betting players to get a goal or get a point, get a lot of shots. One thing I wanted to let people know about, and it should be quite obvious, though, is that you might think a team is going to win, like the Carolina Hurricanes. They are the last team that you probably want to have a bunch of guys on your fantasy team, on your prop sheet every night, your goal scoring predictions, because they are a team that will win every game possible 2-1, maybe 3-2. They're not a team that's going to have offensive explosions. You want to be looking at the teams that are still involved in these pond hockey back and forth type of games, kind of like what we saw.
It's been that kind of morning
From
for
the
Andrew.
Minnesota Dodgers.
Actually, it's been that kind of morning for all of us. That's all right, Andrew. Uh, all right. So what Andrew's getting into, I'll let him refresh his link, and then we'll come back to it. So a couple of players that I've noticed that that you can. Andrew was getting into about overs and unders. I can tell you, we've been playing players to not have a point. We went 3-0 in the Hurricanes game the other night in a game that was 4-3. There were players that just have not scored a point. Anders Lee is one of them. Bo Horvat is one of them. We unfortunately lost one last night, but the Devils scored one goal. We happen to have a guy have an assist. So I do think some of these unders are a way to go. So let's bring Andrew back in. Andrew, we lost you when you were kind of starting to break down. You don't always have to play overs. So continue talking.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know if you guys have me or not, but I'm going to just go.
Just go, but cash the over on times that Andrew's frozen. All right, I will finish this off. Take a look at some of these teams that are really good defensively and are just overwhelmed. New Jersey is one of them. They look overwhelmed in that series. So take a look at some of these New Jersey players to go under their shots on goal, or to go under or to not have a point. There's a really big name that's gone under, and it really hasn't even been close in his first couple of games, and that's David Pastrnak. This guy's an over machine with the shots on goal. Florida came out and said they're going to absolutely jam up Pasternak's line. They're not going to try and force the issue on offense. All they're going to do is try and muddy up that line. They're going to try and control the puck. They're not going to force anything in transition. They're just going to make it a tough line. And what's happened, Pasternak's gone under his shots on goal. The books have noticed this. They've moved the line. It's only minus 120, under 4.5. But there are definitely some really, really good spots to take unders in these NHL prop betting markets. So we'll see if we can bring Andrew back in. On the flip side, you can take a look at some of these guys who have insane matchups and they're cashing left and right. I went into the series thinking the Edmonton Oilers were going to struggle to put up points, and especially Leon Draisaitl against the Kings. The Kings have really kind of owned Draisaitl this season. They've done really well. Well, at playoff time, what happened? Draisaitl's gone over his points props. Connor McDavid has flown over his shots on goal props. So it looks like once the playoffs started, it doesn't really matter in that series, and the Kings don't appear to have an answer for them. So those are some ways to look at the NHL props. And again, if you find a guy and you find a prop that you like, ride him the entire series. So if like, Draisaitl, if you like him over his points, just keep playing him. Connor McDavid, if you like him over his shots, keep playing him. If he loses once, just keep going. You don't have to cut bait after one loss. We're trying to hit 70 to 80% of one player in particular to make the playoffs a profitable one. So, all right, I am going to take a look at some UFC props here. There's a couple that I really like. I think you can take some unders here and some fighters to win by knockout. And the biggest one to me that is just staring me in the face is Jasmine Lucindu over Brogan Walker. Jasmine Lucindu is 21 years old and is 13-5. So she's had 18 professional fights. She hits like an absolute tank. They put her on this fight in her UFC debut, and they build this as like two high prospects in the female division, and they were fantastic. And I watched that fight and said, whoever loses this fight, I can't wait to bet on them again. And they give Lucindu an incredible matchup against Brogan Walker. Brogan Walker was in the finale of the Contender Series and put on a horrible performance. Got ground and pounded, knocked out by Juliana Miller, and Juliana Miller's not good. So you can get Lucindu by TKO at plus 240 to win by finish. You can take her by submission and KO at plus 240. To me, that's a no-brainer. That should be a sprinkle on everyone's card. You could also look at Muhammad Usman and Junior Tafa, the fight not to go the distance. These are two big boys. Junior Tafa is making his UFC debut. He's going to try and swing for the fences early, and Usman could implement the wrestling game. If he does, Tafa gets exhausted and somebody gets finished. So those are a couple UFC props that we're looking at. And then, of course, Bobby Green is fighting Jared Gordon. If Bobby Green is fighting somebody other than Drew Dober or Islam Makhachev, which has been his last 2 fights, you just take the fight to go the distance. And if you like Bobby Green, which I like Bobby Green, you can take him just to win by decision. His stand-up game, he's going to piece up Jared Gordon left and right. Those are some UFC props I think you can look at. Matt, let's talk a little bit more MLB. First off, anything you're noticing in your hometown team with Phillies? We talk about this all the time, that sometimes hometown teams, like as fans, we know these teams the best, so we can really dial in on a few props. So has there been anything in some of the hometown teams that you follow closely that you've noticed that we can take advantage of that maybe everyone else is kind of missing?
I wish I could give you a really intelligent answer, and I know Dan in the back will agree with me. I'm just gonna go like this and shrug. They go on a decent road trip. They take a series from the White Sox. They come home, face a Rockies team that has an ERA over 6. They score no runs. So, yeah, I don't know. And then you've got Aaron Nola pitching tonight, who is supposedly their ace. I don't think he is. He should throw 7 shutout innings tonight. He'll go 5, give up 3 runs, have like 6 strikeouts, and it'll be a close game. So, Andy, I really wish I could give you a smart, intelligent answer other than when you think that the Phillies, because I had several people, on Twitter, they're like, the Phillies should win this game easily. They should beat up on the Rockies. What do you think about the Phillies' first 5? And I'm like, yeah, all this stuff sounds great, but I can't figure them out. And the other thing you kind of worry about there, at least, is they came off a road trip. And I know, Andy, in the NBA, when teams come off of these long road trips, that first home game, there's a little bit of a, I don't know necessarily what it is, like an acclimation period. It's like hey, we're finally home, and they struggle a little bit in the beginning. So maybe that's what happened yesterday. But the short answer is, Andy, I have no idea about the Phillies. We know Bryce Harper may come back in 2 weeks, which is pretty crazy considering he had Tommy John surgery. I think that'll help the lineup, but I also don't know how good he's going to be. There's a chance he's not going to have any minor league rehab assignments. So I wish I could tell you, but the Phillies are a team that are very hard to figure out. And with 30 teams, Andy, I figure you go find a team that you've done pretty well with. I've done pretty well with the Chicago White Sox with regards to their K props. I'm 3-0. On my spreadsheet, I started documenting who I've been good with and who I've not been good with. And so far, the White Sox have been treating me very well, especially against left-handers. That thing's never going to die. The White Sox, for as bad of a team as they are very good against lefties. They've seen 4 lefties this year starting pitching-wise. They are averaging 2.75 strikeouts in those games. So I can't give you anything on the Phillies, but I can certainly tell you to go find another team that people like and are very familiar with and go attach yourself to them.
Before we get to our best bet for Matt Josephs this morning, Matt, any pleasant surprises or big-time disappointments? Players that just have really, really overwhelmed expectations, or players that are coming in under expectations? And if there are there any regressions to the mean that we can expect coming forward? Because I find that some of these teams that, if they start off slow, but, they played a tough schedule, or, they played over their head and now they're getting injuries. The Tampa Bay Rays come to mind. Start off red hot, but then they've got the injury bug on the pitching staff. So any surprises for you so far this season?
Well, I mean, I think we made a little bit of money early on with Mitch Keller and Kodai Senga, the Mets pitcher who came up from overseas. The first couple of times the books set both of those guys' numbers pretty low, and we took advantage of it. Yesterday, I was actually glad that they set the number for Senga a little too high against this strikeout-prone Giants team because he didn't go over it. So I think the books are starting to catch on there a little bit. I'll tell you this, Andy. I think the biggest thing that's kind of been interesting is we've seen a lot between FanDuel and DraftKings with regards to different numbers completely. Like there's been times where the juices have been different, and I kind of expect that, maybe FanDuel has a minus 110 when DraftKings has a minus 145. But there's been times like last night, if I didn't think this guy was terrible, I would have jumped all over it. Last night, Aaron Nola over 5.5 strikeouts was minus 145 on DraftKings. It disappeared in about like 20 minutes and became 6.5. FanDuel stayed firm on 6.5. So I think this is another one of those situations, Andy, where you need to have a lot of places to shop and basically compare your numbers. BetMGM, they're the worst when it comes to K-props. They will either not have it or they will be after everybody else's moves. So if you have solely BetMGM, BetMGM and you're a K-prop person, put some money in DraftKings or FanDuel, and then you could kind of take advantage of this situation. But I've been surprised, Andy. We've seen a lot of books differ on numbers, not just juices. That's been a big surprise for me so far.
It's amazing that the books all specialize in different things. I'm with you 100%. Like that, golf. I won't even look at a couple of books, but just can't wait for BetMGM to come out with those numbers. K props. Like not even looking at one of these other books. It's kind of strange how they have expertise in some of the different plays. So.
Andy,
all
let
right,
me ask
guys.
you something. Let me
Yeah.
ask you something about the NBA so far. Has there been a series that has been kinder to you so far that you feel like, you want it to go 7 games? I feel like the Warriors-Kings series is going to be home team wins every time, back the home guys, play the under on the road guys. But is there a series that has been kind to you so far?
Well, I have parlays in. I have a bunch of pending parlays with some of the series prices. I made it a point I wanted to take advantage of that. So far, so good. Like I have a parlay tied up with the 76ers to win that series, so that will cash it. That looks good. I have the Bucks to beat the Heat. I feel fine with that, even with the Giannis injury. I also have the Nuggets to win that series. I feel fine about that one. As far as player props. Let's see. The Phoenix Suns and the Clippers have been kind just because we've really taken advantage of Russell Westbrook. We've took a couple losses in that, but I feel great moving forward. And I will tell you, I feel great about the next few games that I hope get extended in the Boston and Atlanta series. I listen. The cat's out of the bag. The Hawks are better with DeJounte Murray running their offense and not Trae Young. When Trae Young is out on the court running their offense, they are terrible. Boston eats them up. When DeJounte Murray is out there with Bogdanovich and Hunter and that lineup, they're much better. And you look at DeJounte Murray, he's flown over his points, rebounds, and assists, and his rebounds and assist props. So I'm looking towards those. And then in that same series, Derek White is I don't want to say he's their best point guard, but he might be their best point guard in the playoffs. It's not Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart doesn't have the shooting, doesn't have the shot creation, and his defense is still good, but Smart defense, it was points, rebounds, and assists has been good. I hope that series gets extended. I really hope Atlanta can sneak out a win or two to keep that one going. So as far as series goes, I've got these series, parlay pieces, but I'm really looking more towards some of these numbers. I will tell you also, Matt, they keep putting LeBron James at over 1.5 blocks plus steals. Just take LeBron over 1.5 blocks and steals. He's going to have one of those blocks from behind, and he's going to get at least another block or another steal. Memphis is just not that good inside, and Anthony Davis over his blocks. That's just been a block party. So those series have been good to me, and those player props in particular have been good to me as well. So. All right, good stuff, everyone. We've got a loaded day here on Wager Talk TV. We got Puck Time coming up, Wager Talk today, NBA tip off. We got MLB first pitch as well. But let's get the day started off right, and let's do our best bet for Prop It Up. So, Matt, before we get into the best bet, tell everyone what you have up this weekend. Where can we find you? And then what do we like for our best bet today?
I'll say baseball's been a kick in the nuts so far for me, Joel Embiid style. So I would just say go bet with Andy or go bet with Andrew or go bet with Moneyline Matt. Do not even look at me right now until we figure some things out. It's been a little bit of a rough stretch to start out the baseball season. So certainly go get Andy. Andy might have been the only person, I don't know if he even took this, that saw Boston College knocking off my beloved Syracuse women's lacrosse team yesterday and handing them their first loss of the season because I know lacrosse is in Andy's portfolio. All right, so my best bet. And part of the reason why I like this best bet is because it's a plus price and because, I'm a big backer of this guy. I'm looking at the outs market. I'm taking Shohei Ohtani over 18.5 outs at plus 125 on DraftKings. Shohei Ohtani's going up against the Kansas City Royals. Ohtani's coming off a game in Boston, the Marathon Day, when he didn't pitch very long because they had all those weather issues. They only went 2 innings, so he should be really fresh for this one. Now, look, you're going to know early if this is going to be a winning bet or not, because when Ohtani gets control issues, he's not going to last 6 innings or 6+ innings. But we've seen for the most part this season, outside of the one start against the Nationals, that he went over this number. He's been good with regards to the walks. Last year he threw 8 shutout innings at home against the Royals. It's a bad Royals offense. They're making the West Coast trip out there. Who knows how motivated they're going to be for this game. 4 different right-handed starting pitchers have gone over this number. You need 6 1/3 innings. That is the key. But I'm going to look at a plus price here. Shohei Ohtani over 18.5 outs at plus 125. You can find that on DraftKings. I'm sure the other books that have the outs markets will have this as well. But, Andy, we're looking for Shohei Ohtani to do his thing today and go 6 1/3 innings against the Kansas City Royals.
Love it. Love it. Anytime you can fade the Kansas City Royals, you're in a great, great spot for sure. That is Matt Josephs at sportsmemo.com. Want to remind everybody, we've got our Weekend Warrior promo. You get all plays Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for only $39. Just use the promo code WW20. That's WW20. It gets $20 off at checkout. Honestly, this is a perfect promo for myself for this weekend. We've got a 5% UFC play and a 5% soccer play that is up. Those go off on Saturday. We've got 2 4% lacrosse plays, as well as all of our NHL and our NBA plays. 9 and 6 in those the last couple days. So we're turning a profit almost every single night so far since the playoffs have started. So thanks to everybody. Shout out to everyone in the chat room, especially you, Raven, Ron. We actually had brought you up before the show even started. So good to see you. Good to see you, Boxcar, and good to see you, Space Indian. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Let's cash Shohei Ohtani over his outs prop. Hopefully, I'll have Andrew back next week, and we will hopefully have all you back next week on another episode of Prop It Up.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.